Good morning and welcome to 2025. Last year was a great year. Let's hope this one's an even better one. On the bench today, I'm not going to show it to you yet because it's just a box. On the bench today, I've got an engine sent to me from Florida Floyd, a friend of mine, and he flies at the Sparks flying field in St. Petersburg, Missouri, or St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg, Florida, where I actually flew when I first moved to Florida in 1997. And he was there about a week or so ago, maybe just over a week ago, flying, and there was a club member that was flying a Cub, and the story I got from Floyd was that this club member got this Cub used from somebody. It wasn't really properly built necessarily, and he got it up, flying and lost control, and it came straight down into Sparks's asphalt runway. Completely destroyed the plane, and I guess the guy in frustration just went and picked up the engine and threw it in the trash. And then he came back and took it out of the trash and handed it to Floyd and said, "Here, you know what to do with this thing." So that's what's on the table today, and I'm opening the box for the very first time. So this is a crash engine, and Floyd sent it to me to see if there's any parts that are salvageable on it. He said he believes that the crankshaft is definitely bent on it. And he was curious as to know whether the connecting rod or anything else is broken on it. So that's what we're going to try and find out here. Not try, that's what we are going to find out here. So this is a Super Tigre G75 or Super Tigre 75 engine, which is a good thing, I guess, because I happen to have a fairly new in box one. That must be the exhaust, and that's just packing material. So let's just set that aside here. Let's check this exhaust out first. I think he said it had a pit style muffler on it. Oh, let's zoom in here some more. Yeah, that's a nice, looks like a nice Bisson exhaust that somebody modified. That's rather interesting, actually. That's kind of cool. Well, let's see if it would have been inverted. If it was a Cub, you probably had the things going out the bottom here like this. So that's an interesting one. Okay, so let's see. And Floyd told me very little was done to this engine. He said it wouldn't turn over. He even left some of the balsa and maybe the covering of the Cub in the fins. Yeah, there it is. Oh boy. Oh boy. There. Okay. So here is our freshly crashed Super Tigre. Oh, this is an S75. It's an Italian-made Super Tigre. Now the throttle arm is broken off on here, which Floyd told me about. Okay, no glow plug, so that's a good thing. The guy probably was smart. Oh yeah, boy, you can see. It just has a very droopy nose going down like this. Alright, so let's just start disassembling this thing and see what things look like here. Oh, that's screws. These are all, oh, this is a very old Super Tigre engine. Here I brought hex keys out. Pretty sure that the one I've got uses hex keys. This is all uses slotted screws, so that kind of shows the age of this. Let's see if this is the right size slot for that. Yeah, that'll work. Interesting, very interesting, and unfortunate. It's a little hard to see the slots in there. You can see the firewall came crashing into that thing. That was a serious impact. Serious impact. by the amount of balsa in the back head here, it looks like this was the fellow didn't even have a chance to throttle back. unless he just decided at the last minute, I'm going down, the hell with it, I'm just going to give it full throttle. You never know. I might have done the same thing and just said, let's just see. Let's see how bad we can make this happen. Never know. I think I've had a couple of situations like that. Well, I didn't crash many airplanes throughout my flying career, probably less than a handful. Out of all the planes, all the flights I made, I crashed less than a handful of times, but I think sometimes you're in that mode where you're just trying to recover and you don't necessarily think to pull the throttle back. This looks like, you know, this hit pretty darn hard. Oh, those screws have got to be out of there. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Wow. Just wood just embedded in here. So anytime you've got a crash, I'm going to use one of these hex keys to push these out. So just etiquette, or not etiquette, but disassembling information for if you're disassembling a crashed engine. If you crash an engine and it hits hard and nose in, you know, and it takes a really hard hit, the last thing you want to do is try to rotate the engine over. Do not do that, because if you can rotate it over and it ingested anything, you may have just done more damage to the engine. So please try to restrain yourself from immediately trying to turn it over. I mean, you can do one of these things real quick and just see, and if it's just locked up, that's fine. And if you think it feels like it might turn, that's fine. Don't turn it. Just leave it until you can completely disassemble it. Now, this engine has had quite some runtime on it, it would appear. This is going to require some extensive cleaning here. But I think Floyd was most interested in seeing the inside here to see if we got any other damaged parts that would cause this thing to be just completely locked up like this, besides the crankshaft being bent. I don't know that a bent crankshaft, unless it was bent at a 90-degree angle, would necessarily cause the engine to be completely locked up like that. But you never know. I'm certainly no crash evaluation expert. It's amazing that these rear cover screws are not tight at all. Not compared to the head screws. This thing's got some runtime on it for sure. I mean, I can just feel the counterweight. It feels all dry and kind of rusty, corroded type feeling. Do I have a driver here that I can loosen that up with? Is that actually getting on there? It is actually getting on there. Let's see if I can tap this free just real quick. I'd like to get this carb off, if at all possible, without I don't understand why this thing feels like it's got another little screw in here. See, this is a pretty old engine, but I don't think I've ever seen one like this. If you can see this thing here, it's got your standard. Are you focusing at all here? It's got your standard little pull tight thing here, but then I'm seeing like some other little strange screw. That bit is just a bit too thick for this. Comes out. Little bitty screw in there. I don't know if that's a stock Super Tigre thing or not. That was certainly what was causing this carb to stay on there. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. I think that's something that somebody did. Why does it seem like that's not focusing? Hang on a second here. Okay. See that hole? This looks like somebody's done some modifications to this. Drilled and tapped that, and then you've got a hole on one side of the car but not the other. So this is not a stock Super Tigre. So somebody's been messing with this Super Tigre engine for sure, because that's not the way they're supposed to be. I pretty much almost guarantee that. All right, let's get this front housing off here. Again, that didn't feel all that tight, so I don't know. Yeah, somebody's been tampering with this engine. The head screws were super tight. Nothing else was super tight. You got that odd screw retaining the carb, like they didn't trust the stock pinch nut style thing. I don't know if that's, unless this is just a really old prototype type engine, which I don't think it is. Boy, that crankshaft is, wow, look at that crankshaft. Look how bent that thing is. I apologize for that not focusing. The focus style was still set for the last 4K video I set, because 4K video on this camera, you can only focus certain, autofocus certain ways, and so here maybe you can see the roughness of this. I don't think this is ever going to turn again. It might. There's just, it looks like a banana. I mean, that's just really. So here's our piston. Look, Floyd, no damage to the piston ring, is completely free. No damage to the piston at all. The only reason it wasn't turning over is this thing is just completely foobar here. This whole thing, it'd be lucky if this ever comes apart. So this crankshaft is crap. I'm sure these bearings are not very healthy. So I would say that there's probably not much of a salvageable piece here, because I can see how banana shaped this thing is. This is, wow, that took a hard hit. So this case can probably be cleaned up. I'm disassembling a Super Tigre engine right now. It's a G90. And for some reason I'm stuck on trying to get this sleeve out. But the thing that's peculiar is that the only reason I wanted to get that sleeve out is because I couldn't get the piston out. But this one, as it should, oh, it's because it's not a two-piece crankshaft, it's a single-piece crankshaft. So yeah, that shows how, this is probably an S75 then. So anyway, there's your disassembly and analysis of this Fubard Super Tigre I believe this is an S70 engine. Anyway, thank you very much, Floyd, for giving me the opportunity to look at a crashed engine one more time and giving me a few spare parts that can be used at some point, maybe for somebody else's engine, but this is not one of them. I'm not even sure if I'm going to attempt to try and disassemble this thing at all because the crankshaft is clearly screwed. I don't even have confidence in this front housing, especially since it's got some kind of strange thing there. Now this carb is probably in good shape. The only problem with it is it's got this broken throttle arm here, and it's dinged up pretty good. This carb might be good for some spare parts. I'll have to figure out why. I'll have to maybe take it apart and clean that. So the carb might still be good, but anyway, that's it for this crashed Super Tigre S75 engine. Thank you all for watching.